Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. Those who are watching, thank you all, board members, for being with us today. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you. All right, I'll go ahead and do the all reporters here with us today. Well, welcome everyone.
Sorry.
All reporter here.
Oh, here it is. Sorry. Sorry. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Yes, I will be happy to do roll call. Okay. Chair Dorsey,
Here.
Vice Chair Amici.
Here.
Diane Foster. Here. Lawrence O'Keefe.
Here.
Mike Schultz.
Here.
Mike Smith is absent tonight. Amanda Van Arken. Here. Chris West.
Right.
And Lori Zwingley. Yes, very good. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. We will go ahead and do roll call. We'll start off with you, Mike. Have anything for us this evening?
I do. I'm just gonna let everybody know that I'm putting in my resignation tonight. I've been on this for, I think, 4 or 5 years now. And, I got a new schedule at work and it's not working out. I feel terrible for not being here at meetings, and it's like, Zoom, I was trying to do the Zoom for a while and that's not really working. And I looked over the next 4 months and I'm not gonna be able to make it to any meetings. And, if I'm gonna be on a board, I would like to be here and participate, and there's probably somebody else out there that would like to do it. And maybe they can, contribute a little more than I've been able to. So, I think, I've enjoyed my time here. You guys are doing a great job, and, I hope you continue on with what we started, and but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to resign tonight because I can't put the time into it that I think this position deserves. So thanks for letting me serve.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
We can vote on that.
Maybe we won't finish roll call at that.
Not a good way to start.
Brian, did you do,
Sorry?
did you do approval?
No, I did not. I was going by the order, but we can go ahead and do the approval of the minutes quickly if we like. Want to get that done. So everyone have a chance to read and go over the minutes from last month?
Yes.
Motion to accept the minutes is written.
We have a motion on the floor.
Second.
Motion's been seconded. Motion to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Hearing none, those minutes will be approved. Was this that?
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Yes, and we will have next, we'll go on over to you, Diane. Have you-
For citizen comments or no?
I think you were
You know what,
taking
I-
roll
you know what,
call
I
instead of
did
board
roll call.
announcements, yeah.
Citizen comments. Citizen had no comment, so that's. Okay. Wrong day, thank you. All right, let's go on board member announcement. So we've had one.
We'll make it start again.
We'll start back with you, Mike. You want to say anything?
Nothing for report.
Change your mind.
I mean, kind of a silly thing, but my kids are very excited about the Chick-fil-A signs going up. So that's my comment. They're super excited. Can't wait to visit home from Corvallis to partake.
I was actually gonna ask about that. Has there been any kind of a traffic impact analysis done? Because historically.
It will, it'll
it's
be
really
part of the
busy.
process.
It's part of the.
It always has gotta be part of the process.
And I think they
After
did
it's
a
built.
while ago.
They did
I thought it
before.
would go to TS, or to the trucks, it's quite a while ago, it's gonna impact the whole
Yeah, that whole.
thing outside of the.
I mean, it's usually a part of the process of an application to get.
Apply, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you guys have a plan in place for when it starts backing up to the road? It does, or that's just not even?
I mean, that's a pretty big parking lot within there.
Yeah.
We don't have a plan.
Not yet.
Jameson, that's gonna be your first project.
All right, don't you get anything?
No, that's.
Okay. And what say you?
I do not have anything.
All right.
I don't really either.
Chris?
Never.
Wow.
You don't have. to.
Are you not there?
Well, I will say that I did pick up on my ring. Some of Sherwood's finest passing and graveyard shipped in front of, down my street, again heading towards Brian's house, so. I don't know why they always head that direction.
Yeah, I call and tell them to pass by your house.
And the other thing I noted tonight is my family headed to Cabela's to see the Easter Bunny. There's nothing going on in the park this weekend that the police are gonna be at.
About something.
Stella,
Yeah.
because I have pictures from last year with Raylan with officers in the four-wheeler. And I got thinking, I haven't seen or heard anything about that, so.
Well, I have events that I will announce later,
Okay.
but nothing this weekend.
Well, Easter.
There's your answer.
Okay.
Yeah, right, there is usually something.
Yeah.
Usually something going on.
Do you know anything?
That church does like that.
I think it's part with the church.
So maybe they're not doing this here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just. So Cabela's is no longer Cabela's anymore. Have you seen the new sign?
I still have.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, it's not that, they've owned them for 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, but deal with transition over the course of a number of years.
I think we'll always still call it.
I know, it's hard not to.
That's all I have. Sorry.
I know you have more, but you're holding back, all right.
I have nothing. I'm just happy good weather's here.
Yes.
So hopefully it'll stay for a while because I still gotta watch my truck.
I have nothing to say either. I had that Chick-fil-A question. That was it. Breezing right through.
Yes. Well, I don't have anything to say at this time either, just happy to see what's been happening here. Happy to see all of our officers, smiles on their faces, representing us well. And yeah, they're well kitted and well suited, and it's always a proud moment for me to see our officers present themselves when I look at some other communities and see some of the things we have that a lot of other communities don't, but it comes from having a community that values, having officers of the law be able to serve and protect and look and be their finest, so. Yeah, we're doing a good job. Awesome. Okay. I'll do some policy updates.
So I have some good news and some bad news. The good news is we're not gonna do any policy update tonight. It's just been a crazy last few weeks, to say the least. And so rather than try and fumble through it, I'm just gonna punt it till May. So, and I know there's a few more in there that we'll add to the mix. I guess that's the bad, did I say that's the bad news or the good news? Good news, bad news. So the good news is though, I'm gonna take a moment. I got a couple things to talk about, but I wanna introduce Jameson, who is one of our newest officers, and well, him and Jessica, I think I talked about last meeting. They're heading off to the academy come Monday morning, and he just happened to be working, so I wanted to have him come in and say hi to everybody.
Well, James.
Hello, everyone.
Nice to meet you. Can you tell us his officer name? Officer, what, it starts with an A, but it's covered, I can't.
Yep, covered up.
Introduce yourself.
And I'm Officer Angelo. I was a reserve here at Sherwood for about 2 years. So I'm pretty familiar with it. I also lived here since 2015. I went to Sherwood High for junior and senior year. Pretty familiar with the area.
When did you graduate?
2017. So I look forward,
16. Oh, yeah.
I look forward to getting to know all you over the years and I'm looking forward to the academy and not only making myself, better as an officer and improve myself over the years, but making you all proud here in the city.
That says a lot. The reserves you guys didn't scare them away.
I know.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Well, thanks for putting the time as reserve. That is.
That is a big.
Of course.
Yeah, I don't know if I know we touched on it a while ago, but so he and Jessica went through the Reserve Academy. That's 320 hours that they've already put into it.
Free. For free.
I know. The cool thing about it, and we saw this with some prior reserves, is that as they go into the academy, they're just gonna have such a great head start. They have such a great platform already there. And they're gonna know a lot of the things that are already going on, so they're not gonna be drinking so much out of a fire hose. They'll know what's happening and be able to, there would be some great leaders down there for the other students that are going through it. We're proud of them and looking forward to it. The other thing, as you know, now let's talk about it. So when did we start the application process? Back in October or September-ish?
I believe it was October.
So October 24 is when we opened up and got through all the process. They'll hit the road mid-November, so about 13 months is where we're at, probably. So him and Jessica will be back August.
Yes, end of August.
So August, and then pick up on their field training from there, and then, like I said, you'll see them probably hopefully late November, I think is what I was hearing on dates for solo status.
So when you're at Academy, are you staying down there? Are you commuting?
I plan on staying there through the weekdays, just because classes can run late and pretty early, and then come home on weekends.
There's dorms down there, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that far, but it is when you have to do it every day. Yeah.
So since you hired two reserves, like what's happening? What else is happening today in that world?
That's funny, you said I got that in my notes, yeah. I think I told you about the promotions of the two captains last time. So we were just beginning the sergeant process, which we finished up last week. And so, are you guys familiar with Officer Humphrey? He's been here 18 years.
Yeah.
So he is going to be one of the sergeants that was promoted. And then Officer Caraway, he was a lateral from Washington County with 7-8 years of experience when he came over. And he did really well in the process as well. So he's going to be the other sergeant. And as I said, so when these two get back, then we'll be able to move everybody into their places, but I really wanted to get them identified early.
So when are the old captains departing?
Good question. So depends. So Captain Carlson's slated to be done at the end of June. It's all gonna depend on kind of where we're at with personnel and needs. And then Captain O'Loughlin, he's here until October unless he finds another job elsewhere. So there's some things up in the air with that, but within the next 3 to 6 months, they'll both probably be gone, but they may need to hang around because I need them to get back here before I can.
That's what I was wondering.
I can get away with one captain for a short while, which will most likely be the case, but having them both exit at the same time would not be good.
Can you remind me who the captain promotions were?
Gents and Powell. That's all we got for you. Thanks for coming, Jameson. Unless you guys have questions. You guys have questions?
Anyone have
Hang on,
questions
sure.
for me? I don't mind answering.
You know, it's funny, I have a question, I'm sorry. Maybe we can meet later. I had a friend contact me and he says,
My son is going through a police interview. I'm not sure what company, but he was looking for somebody to reach out and talk to. And of course, being a former fire department, we've been on fire questions plenty, but not very many police questions. And so maybe we can touch bases later. Are you leaving?
No, I will be on until 1:30 AM, so.
Okay. Maybe I can get a hold of you after the meeting or something. You sound like the perfect guy to ask questions, couple of questions for.
I'll try my best to help.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you all. Yes, ma'am.
Did either one of these last names sound familiar from your high school days?
Would have been a class ahead of you.
Class ahead.
Oh, mine too. Add Young to that list because my daughter is the class ahead of him as well.
Mine too. Mine was right after you.
So, you know, all the students, everybody went high. All of us feel suddenly cold.
School was, I don't think I ran to everybody. But if I look back through the yearbook and I saw faces, I would not
Yeah.
recognize a few.
Don't look like they did
At all. You have 16 graduates?
Both of ours were 16.
So was mine. I didn't know that. Okay.
There was like 1,600 graduates.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, back to
Oh,
business.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I know Nicole was staying off camera and doesn't want to say hi to everybody.
Very silent.
Yeah,
So-
we gotta go. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Is Rebecca?
I didn't want to interrupt
She's
your
always last. She says no.
flow. Go ahead.
You want me to keep going or you got something?
Yes, we'll let him keep going. Everyone's focused.
So obviously, I don't know what you're gonna talk on the legislative side, but obviously for the law enforcement side, there's a lot going on.
I'm not touching on any of that. So you go ahead.
And I'm not gonna really either, because it's kind of a mess. Other than, there's a lot of bills out there, and probably the biggest hot potato right now is 114, 3075, and I can't remember, I don't know, it's the gun permitting, gun magazine limitation, all these things that are in play right now that, there's a lot of back and forth going on. I only bring this up because at the end of the day, if this in fact goes into play, it's gonna be, the onus is gonna be on us for issuing these permits. We don't know exactly how it's going to look. It's gone back and forth about showing proficiency with a firearm. Originally, they had written in there that you have to show it by actually shooting a gun. And the logistics of that would burden an agency like us and or the county.
And there's the insurance and the liability, and that's the same thing that Tri-County, when they were approached. The cost that they would charge because of the liability was just astronomical, and the few that they could handle in a time frame was, wouldn't meet the need.
Yeah, so like I said, it's kind of a mess. I only bring it up because I know it's been talked about a lot, at least in Salem and amongst our circles in law enforcement, and how we would deal with it. And quite frankly, I don't know if we even have an answer. I know OSP is obviously going to be the backbone of backgrounds. And there's a lot of pressure being put on them to how that will look, and then how it's filtered out to the rest of us.
So are you saying, so 114 already passed, right? It passed through the voters, then it went through the courts and they upheld it, so it's good.
No, it wasn't upheld. It was the Harney County judge. For like 2 years and
Yeah, but-
nothing went into play.
Right, but then now
Only
Yes.
at the pellet level, there's two tracks. The Oregon track was the district court judge's case was overthrown by the appellate court, but now it's been challenged to the state Supreme Court.
okay, so it's still alive.
And the
but-
federal case is before the Ninth Circuit, but the Ninth Circuit's not gonna take it up till they deal with one of the other cases in another state. And then all of this will go to the Supreme Court. So what the legislature's trying to do, or some in the legislature, is to pass bills to put it in place that way, but it will get.
Piecing it apart.
I got you.
That's why
Okay.
just
Yeah.
19 and just the.
Yeah, and and this will be the last thing I say on this. They put gun owners in a really bad position because one of the things that they have in place is the 10 round magazine. But the magazine cannot be manipulated, basically. Yeah, and every magazine has a buttstock plate on it that can be removed because you have springs in them and you need to work on them. But the mere fact that every gun I own and every gun that everybody owns potentially could be illegal the day this thing goes into play.
Well, in 114, the way it was written was you just needed to prove possession before it was the fact. I'm not sure what's going on with the legislation because there's a whole bunch of people out there that have magazines that are bigger than 10 because that's what they were when you bought them and what they came with. And how do you?
You'd be breaking the law.
Yeah, it's, I mean, obviously it's gonna all shake out some way.
Are we working with our representative on this at all, or
No, which one?
Courtney?
No, I spoke to her last night. That's just not,
Not
she's not.
gonna be
she's not
supportive
in
of
the-
this.
No, she's just not in that arena right now because she's not in the ways and means and some of those.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, they got moved.
Yeah.
For.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's not where she's at. So that's really, I mean, there's lots of legislative bills out there, but that's the one that's kind of the hot topic. And I know you'll talk on some others. The one thing that I wanted to bring up, we did it, I think 3 years ago, we did a survey kind of testing the waters of the needs and the priorities of the community. I wanted to ask your thoughts on this because as I've said over the years, obviously we're always challenged with the budget because 100% of us is 100% of law enforcement is out of the general fund. I don't know if you listened to the state of the city last night, but the mayor talked and touched upon, revenues down, costs are up. And everything starts to shrink with resources and the ability for us to do what we need to do, not just the PD, but the city as a whole. And so I want to make sure that we stay ahead of this as best we can and what that looks like and what some funding opportunities could look like. And we had a great response. I think we had 600, 700 people replied last time. I don't know if it's necessary. I'm just trying to figure out, okay, what's going to be the next step? Because I want to start having those conversations with community members. Obviously, I want to utilize you and your connections as well, but it's across the board. It's not just a Sherwood thing. It's, we just know revenues are down everywhere. Cities are trying to get creative, either with levies or fees or whatever that may be. And we're just not immune to that as much as we, had hoped that we could insulate ourselves, but it's kind of at our door. So I'm opening the floor to just some thoughts, some ideas. Is it a good idea to go back out again and get a feel for where the community's at and priorities, or do we feel like we're confident where they're at? And then if so, what do we want to do? And so just for the sake of really rough numbers, let's say you went out for a fee of sorts and $10 to $12 on 6,600 houses. That doesn't include commercial. You're roughly $800,000 to $900,000 in revenue a year. That's probably 6 to 7 cops. What I mean by that is that gives us the ability as a city to pull those out of the general fund, support those officers, all while allowing other general fund money to go to other city needs. Public works, IT, all the things that make us function. So it's just something I've been kicking around and obviously you've heard me talk about it a lot, but it's been a topic with a lot of chiefs and sheriffs about what we need to do and how we need to do it. And so there's no better place than this great board right here to help me.
Well, I play in this arena a lot. And I think the first thing that I would do if I was you, and I don't know how you're gonna have staff time, but it's to look at your surrounding communities. And do they have levies?
Yes.
Well, I'm just, I know that too, but what I'd say is you need to do that assessment. It's no different than when we did the bonds and the levies for the school district here. We looked for the levy, we were the only one, except for one, I think, that was our size in the burbs that didn't have a levy for teaching. And that helps, but it's always tough to go for the first one versus a renewal. I think it would be a waste of effort to do the same kind of poll with the little research that we did last time in this political climate.
Okay.
Because I'm working on some city polls right now, and there's some crazy results coming because of the crazy uncertainty that's going on right now. And this isn't something that we wouldn't be looking at the earliest 26 or later. And I just think any data that you get within the next 3 to 6 months are not going to be
Outdated.
well founded is what I was thinking.
And Chris, you bring up a great point. I think the thing that's a little bit unique to Sherwood, I think Kim can touch on this, is that if we go out in November, we don't have to have, well, any increase over 2%, right? Any increase that we want over 2% has to go to the voters.
For any new fee.
Or any new fees. So November is the best opportunity for us to ever do that because we don't have to have a majority. If we go out in May, we have to have a majority for it to pass. So it's always going to be that challenge of
That's the other aspect to that we're special with. Thanks to that citizen initiative that we had many years ago. But I'm just, and I'll just share because of the work I'm doing right now on a bond for Tiger for new PD and public works. They're looking at 26, but we're talking about going out for a poll right now, and I and the pollster are like going, you know, it's still baseline stuff, but you know, a lot of money to spend when what's going on in the legislature, the transportation tax stuff, all the stuff, the transportation, uncertainty about the economy with levies and all that other stuff. There's just so much uncertainty that I think it's good that we talk about it. But I think the first thing I would do, like I said, is get a good foundation of what Tiger, Tualatin, Beaverton, Hillsborough, LO, West Lynn, all the communities in the metro area and maybe even others that how they are funding their PDs, how much is coming out of general fund, how much they're relying on levies, so that you have a good understanding of what the lay of the land is, because as it was with the levy for the school district, being the only one that didn't have at least $1,000, helped us get that first one.
I think some difficulty is after that levy, like people are tapped out and
Yeah.
coming up this November, library increase. I believe the county's maybe a jail one.
One for the
Washington County has
Washington
a
County,
levy
or
on
the-
Washington County though is for the unincorporated
ESPD.
ESPD. So that doesn't affect us.
I thought they have also one
They have like,
for jail, for upgrades for the jail.
I haven't seen anything on that. We're tracking it, but they may need it.
Anyways, it's just like everybody's like ahead of us and then every time we talk about it, like, oh, well.
Yeah, I mean, timing's never good because I think we had a conversation a while back about entertaining this and then the school issue arose.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, and then TV up, I mean, you're right, TV up in R is always
Yeah.
knocking and watching. At some point, we're gonna have to make a decision and pull this trigger.
So the other thing, and I heard this today, some Tiger Chamber stuff I was doing, is that Washington County, and I don't think it affects us, but Washington County's talking to Tigard, Beaverton, and other municipalities where there's unincorporated and trying to figure out services and how to pay for those services that are those islands where Washington County's stuck covering things like Bull Mountain and Metzger and, and providing services doesn't necessarily make sense for it to be the county when there are islands in the cities and stuff like that. I don't think we're gonna get impacted by that, but we may. So that's another little floating thing out there. But I think it would be good to go back out to the community, but I would wait. There's too many moving pieces right now that it may really bias or make our results a little jaundiced.
Yeah, that's good info. And just because you asked about it, I know we did a 12 and actually did a lot of the legwork because they're implementing a fee. But there's 22 cities in the state that have fees and or levies, all within the metro area. Tigard, Beaverton, Tualatin, Newburgh County has the levies, Hillsborough has the levies. So everybody around us has one or another. 100% agree. The first one's the heavy lift. And what's that look like? And then it's always going to be about timing. But as I said, I just want to bring it up because I just know on the horizon, obviously, the challenge is going to be there for us in funding, even as we expand with the city and all the things that come,
There's flags and stuff like that today.
as we grow, personnel grows. And so it's just going to be something that I want to be thoughtful of and not get so far behind that we're trying to catch up because that's never a good place.
On the fees, I think I sent you and Tim 6 months ago, there was an article, a little bit of an expose, how cities were using fees added on water, sewer to fund all sorts of other stuff.
You talking about that?
Yeah.
So
Seen that.
that there's baggage there. If it's decided to go that route.
What do you mean baggage? Good or bad?
Baggage in using a water or a sewer fee to help fund.
Okay, then have to be in there. Okay, got it. Okay.
That's where you put it on. So it's just,
Yeah, similar to like our sidewalk fee or something on our utility bill, but creating a new fee, I think that still has to be voter approved and new
Yeah.
fee.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think sorry.
go ahead, no, I'm done.
I think one of the big differences between like the educational levy and something for public safety is that public safety is more universal. And it has the ability to touch everyone in the community. Whereas with no kids in school, it's a little tough for me to suck down paying something based on the value of my house. For something that, I understand it's like for the good of the community and all that. I get all the logical reasons, but still, when you see that bill, you're like,
Especially when that bill goes up every year.
yeah, and especially when I can't use my street for part of the day because all the parents who, pick up their kids all day block the street for probably about an hour twice a day. So, all that stuff adds to kind of frustration. But I think especially if you focus on the data you had in your annual report, especially as it relates to like the mental health response teams. And you think about how many times on the community pages, we see people having, symptoms of mental illness, or they have a child who might have suicidal ideation, somebody with special needs who has wandered away, things of that nature, that resource team really helps. I think that that's something people feel good about paying for. And especially when it's reducing the use of force so drastically and negative police interactions. I think there's a lot of support for the PD in this community already, but I think all of that data that you worked on building really helps bolster that argument.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I agree, we've got the talking points and
Good PR team, and
Justification.
we'd have a,
Yeah.
we'd be able to.
it's just, there's a lot of economic uncertainty going on right now.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think for the average, I don't know, for the average person that is, working and paying taxes, if you took a levy for operational for the police, I would think that the average person in Sherwood would say, well, okay, so what's gonna happen to all the money that you're using right now out of the general fund? Is the city just going to keep with the same fees and the same charge if, say, you have $2 million a year using the police for the general fund? Is that $2 million gonna go back, or is the city just gonna keep collecting money and then this is an additional thing? Does any money come out of the general fund that we don't have to pay police? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think if so just for easy numbers, we're close to, let's just say 40% of the general fund. That's gonna continue to grow over the years. So as we creep up, that shrinks the other components of the city and their ability to grow, and they need to grow just like we do. So if I understand your question, and so we take $1 million out of that, that's dedicated to us. I'm total assumption, but obviously it would backfill. That money then would be utilized to help obviously fund the other needs within the city. It would free up to go and support public works or IT or community services, whatever it is. So it wouldn't be a piggy bank in my mind. I think maybe it was what you're getting at is we're like stockpiling money over here because there's just a lot of needs within the city. Any city is gonna tell you that they're probably underfunded and understaffed, but.
Well, can I explain a little bit? If you have a chance, go to the city's YouTube and the State of the City last night. It's about an hour long, but it was very informational. Tim did a great job. Mayor Rosner, sorry, did a great job and he talked about the headwinds that we're having. Like right now, our expenses are increasing by 13% and our revenues are like 4.5%. And at some point, we're doing this. And we keep a healthy 20% reserve, probably one of the few cities around that keeps a healthy reserve. And we do a 5-year forecast and we watch. And if it dips below that 20%, somewhere in that 2, 3, 4, 5 year, we know that we need to if we make a $1 correction this year, if we don't do it this year for $1, in 5 years, that correction's gonna be $5. We try to course correct now, but we definitely we're gonna have some pinched budgets, which mean making some decisions.
I don't know how it would fit into your timing, but I do know that there's a discussion now about whether or not to push for a new county courthouse too. So I'm not sure how that would get paid for, but I know that's a new topic of discussion now.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
Jail.
So I know, just listening to the sheriff, there's obviously, the jail is, I think, the oldest out there right now. I can't be the oldest, but maybe in the metro area. I mean, it's been a long time. I think that opened when I started my career. It was like the new Van Dangle jail.
That's old.
I know, it is. Long time ago. And so, they need to do something with it. And as you've heard over the years, the staffing crisis they're in just to staff the jails is, I mean, they got, to use your term, headwinds on two fronts, which is challenging. So there's never gonna be good timing. I understand that.
It's also the public defender issue too.
Well, there's,
There just aren't enough of them. They're not getting paid enough as it is. That's why there aren't enough of them. So people are gonna be asking for money all over the place.
yeah. And I know, I know Washington County's looking at challenges overall, I mean, and talking to just different sheriffs and chiefs that, you know, everybody's looking for creativity, because nothing's worse than when it just creeped up on you and now you're like scrambling, and we don't want to be in that position, especially for public safety.
And part of the problem with like the jail specifically is that they often will defer maintenance for years in order to have that money for staffing. And that just catches up, like those facilities are expensive to maintain and becomes a real budget suck.
Yeah.
So we had Commissioner Jason Snyder at our work session Tuesday night. And this just boggled my mind, and he's our new commissioner, so I can't really blame him. He hasn't been on the commission. But one of the things he was explaining is that like the tax, like the Intels and other big companies pay something per year for like 20 years to the county, like 20 million a year or something. I don't know what it is for sure. But then that one of them ends this coming year. And so leaves a hole in their budget. So I looked at Jason, I said, so are you telling me that they were using, because that's considered a one-time money? Because if you're not having forever, it's not. So I said, were they using one-time money for operational? And through his interactions, it kind of, yes. And so now when that money goes away, operationally, they have to make cuts.
So how does that work? Is that tax money that's being collected from like the Intels? Why would that stop?
It's a special sort of program. I don't know. I'd have to go back and remind myself what he said it was. Not tax money. It's some sort of, because they got tax breaks when I think when Intel came in, then they paid some sort of fee for 20 years or something. I forget what they called it, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right, what you were saying, yeah. Yeah, so you got an instant $20 million deficit.
Or taxes don't go up to make up for that tax break?
Whatever that agreement is, which I didn't totally understand, but yeah, I mean, they paid it for 20 years. That was the contract, and that year 21, they no longer pay it, so they're just out 20 million.
I mean, they may still be paying their regular tax, but maybe they got some incentives when they came or something, and that's what, yeah. Yeah.
Not really germane to this topic necessarily, but thinking about the courthouse reminded me. I was recently called for jury duty, and I was surprised to find out that sometimes they don't have enough jurors in their pool to proceed with trials.
What?
I didn't even know that was a thing, but that's what the judge said.
Wow.
That means some people's cards fell in the
Yeah, that
trash
they
out of
just
the
keep
mailbox.
deferring it or, get their employer to excuse them or whatever. I tried, but I was the first.
And you know what, you can't volunteer, like after I did a 5-week grand jury, I'm like, can I volunteer again? Like, you can't take volunteer, I'm like, why not, I'm available.
I've never had to go. Where do they know?
I've never been select.
Just a couple weeks ago, got promptly punted.
Yeah, same.
So,
I got the name drawn out of the hat for the grand jury, showed up for regular jury duty, and I guess some specific Thursday each month they do grand jury drawings. And then that's 2 days a week for 5 weeks. That was very interesting though. I really enjoyed it.
Well, tell your friends so they go to jury.
I really appreciate it. Any more thoughts on this? I mean, it's great, start conversation. I'll continue to do some work. Chris, to your point, I do have all that data. Maybe I can bring it next time in a little bit more organized format than what I have it in. And so we can see kind of what's out there and what's going on. And we can just kind of plow forward with some thoughts and ideas and see if we can get
And I
something
think
going.
it would be based on what was raised about the city budget, tracking that percentage of the general fund that the PD's been over time is an important. And I remember, because we've been here, and Diane, on this so long, all the excitement over the traffic light cameras and the revenue. But that has changed, one, because of construction, but also
Behavior.
with behavior and the yields now. So that funding isn't what it was for a short time at the beginning.
Correct.
Yeah, it's pretty significant compared to what it was 10 years ago, but, yeah, the objective obviously is changing behavior, which we've seen some, and I have some stats for you on crashes. But also, just the red lights, you know, the yields have changed that, so. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, because I think a lot of people get just complacent and used to just rolling red lights. And when all of a sudden they roll into a city that you're supposed to stop, they're probably not doing it, so, thank you again for that. You asked about crashes.
Yeah.
And we've had some significant ones. And who brought up, you brought up county and looking at spots. So weirdly enough, obviously, because we've been up to Yamhill County and Clackamas County, and there are chunks of Washington County within, you know, over on Tonquin. Any crashes on there, we're going. We're the first ones on scene. The fatal we had down here on Bell Road 3 weeks ago. We were the first ones there. We generally respond and are the first responding AVL, based on our locations, and just because they just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to them. I get it, to go patrol a little pocket, you know, that's surrounded by cities. So we go to those quite a bit. And then we just had another major crash at 99 and Sunset probably 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was in the morning when I was going to work.
5:30-ish, yeah, T-bone. So we're having quite a few, but the numbers we had 30 crashes at 99 and Roy Rogers over the last 3 years that we've responded to, and then we had 66 crashes at 99 at Sunset over the last 3 years.
Wow.
So that's
That's every
pretty
other week.
significant number of crashes considering all the efforts we're making. And it's a little disappointing in the fact that we know there's a camera there and people are still, and a lot of the Sunset ones are T-bones. Just people not paying attention, and I don't understand it, but, shoot, you fire guys, I mean, rolling in on those, you know, over the years, it's just, it seems, I don't think there's any rhyme or reason to it, but people are just turning in front of each other. Early morning, so it wasn't necessarily a sun issue or a vision issue, but or it's in the middle of the night, but.
And there's a little bit of a delay from the time one light turns red and the other one turns green. And it's kind of difficult to digest how this just keeps happening.
And these ones are big crashes at 99 at Sunset because of the speed. I mean, you got people doing 60+ miles an hour.
And the one that was just a couple weeks ago, it was somebody heading to Newburgh.
Yes, it was.
Not somebody coming this way.
And the person that was hit was turning left on the Elworth and got T-boned.
Okay, that helps me, because it was 6 o'clock and it was the intersection was filled with all sorts of lights, and even a wrecker was there by the time I was going through, and I kind of sensed from where all the activity was that that's what happened.
Yeah, thankfully, they hit them on the passenger side because of the speed and the impact, but they survived that one, but. Yeah, those are always bad crashes. Speed's a little slower at these down here.
Is the Bell Road 99 area a concern beyond just that, of course, but it does seem like there are accidents that happen in that
That
space.
corridor there, yeah, because they're forced, anybody that's coming off of the mountain is forced, if they're gonna go north, is to cross. And then they gotta like get on it to turn north. I mean, you gotta be on it and hopefully you're timing it right. And that one, they just didn't see the car. Or the car didn't see that. I'm not quite sure how that one all played out, but it was also a T-bone. So, that's always been a concern down and people, quite frankly, I call it the tree tunnel. You know, they just fly through that thing.
There's less trees there now.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
A lot of those out.
Yeah.
I was surprised about that the other day.
Are they gonna do something with that area in the center? Cause we were talking about, it's like where the, I guess it'd be on the Newburgh side of that accident there. There's the creek and they cleared out some invasive species, but from Bell Road north,
Yeah, they did.
they cleared a lot of area out. And I was like, are they planning on like doing maybe a merge lane where that you turn left to come north on 99?
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I don't know what their plans are, but that would be a great idea. All right, that's all I have.
I do have one more legislative. I heard a lot the last 2 days about a bill dealing with the use of drones.
Yes.
And some concern raised by the ACLU about using them for observation instead of using them for investigation and tracking, but using them for just general observation of, and of course, the ACLU was all about observing protests and stuff like that. Others were lamenting about just general surveillance, private invasion of privacy. So I just
In public spaces.
in public spaces, or even, so I just wondered, was it the sheriffs or police chiefs or police officers associations that put that bill forward, and what was the reason, or do you know?
So I'm not sure who introduced it, but I know, we're probably the most restrictive state in the country when it comes to drones. There's a lot of regulations about obviously how you fly them, where you fly them, having an observer with you. So there was a lot of headway made in the legislative this year. I believe it passed, they're giving cities the ability to fly 2 miles without an observer. So that's great for a city like us. And I say that because we can launch off a city hall and we can cover the entire city with utilizing only one officer or one drone operator versus, so right now, Gresham is probably one of the, on the front lines of this, Gresham and Bend, but they have 6 that launch off of city buildings. And so anytime they go up, somebody has to run up to the rooftop. And the drones are in the roof, or on the roof with their launch pads, and they go up, and then somebody has to go up and be able to watch the drones to have this visual observation. It's
Why? You can't even see them.
well, yes, you can. You're supposed to see them. Yeah, it's so. Anyways, they're trying to make it a little bit easier for law enforcement to utilize it. Law enforcement couldn't use it for search and rescue. So if somebody was lost or.
They couldn't?
No.
Oh.
And then, but fire could. Well, it was so.
So this bill is a good thing?
This bill that they had in there was unwinding some of those things that gave us the ability. The pushback has always been, privacy and whether or not you are flying and looking into somebody's homes. The cool thing about our technology and the drones we fly, it shows you exactly where we flew. It shows you exactly the direction of the camera's facing. So if anybody ever comes back to us and go, hey, your drone was looking in our windows of our house, we can say, no, in fact, it was pointed, down into the neighbor's backyard because we were serving a search warrant or whatever the case may have been.
So that, to that point, if you're doing an investigation with a drone, you need a search warrant if you're not chasing somebody that's done something, but you're, the thing I can think of, it shows my age, having a pot farm in your backyard, somebody uses a drone to observe what you're growing.
Without a reason,
without probable cause. Back in the day, this is back in the eighties, working in the woods, the Forest Service special agents would use aerial photos and helicopters to look for illegal grows.
sounds good.
Do you need to have a search warrant? I guess that's my question. For some of the stuff you use them, do you have to have a search warrant before you? Or can you just observe something? Then you can't use it, right?
So you bring up a great question and I'll need to, my opinion would be premise open to the public is no different. My 2 feet are on the ground or, I'm up on a ladder, you know, and I see what I see. Same thing would be with the drone now. Somebody's just gonna probably say different. They're gonna say you're taking advantage. Although property rights are obviously from the ground to the ceiling kind of conceptually. So I'll have to look. I have not, I know there's some legalities as far as what we do. One of the weird things is if we ended up going and searching for somebody like a search and rescue, we just needed to. Alzheimer's person walked away and we need to like find this person or it's a search and we would have to go back and write, it wasn't a search warrant, maybe it was a search warrant. And we'd have to turn it into a judge within 48 hours in Washington State. I haven't done it personally, but the feedback I'm getting is judges are like, what are we supposed to do with this? I mean, like, what's the purpose of this? I think there was a lot of cleanup attempts and I will get back to you on some of that because they're here. We're going to be utilizing them a lot. I talked about launching from City Hall and I actually want to kind of make that a reality. It's a great tool. It doesn't obviously replace officers, but it gives us the advantage quickly if we need to in an incident where we get up and have intel. And especially with the fact that we can do it without an observer now. Somebody can go up and that, I actually went out to Gresham and got to see their whole command center, which was really impressive. I actually got to fly their drones, which was even cooler. It's not like you see where it's all automated, huge screens and, you know, you click on where you want to go and this thing just goes straight over to it. So it's not like I'm like trying to manually get it there. It knows what it's doing. Once it's there, obviously, you know, you can turn the camera, you can go and change whether you're, you know, going straight down or you can use the thermal imaging if you want. So and then you just hit the little button that says return home. It's super cool. And the one I watched actually was a great illustration of why I really want these things because officer safety is a big deal. The one film they just had the night before was there was a gentleman in the roadway jumping on cars. Just randomly jumping on cars. So clearly there was some kind of behavioral health issue going on. Well, the officers had arrived and they got into a knockdown drag out with this guy. Well, the drone had happened to be overhead watching this thing and none of the officers could get out to let anybody else know what was going on. So they had those eyes in the sky and the drone operator could tell everybody else what was happening so that they could pick it up and get there for the assistance, which that's just a great example of how quickly something can go sideways and having that ability and that extra resource there is extremely helpful. So, and we've done searches out here in the fields. We've thrown so there's two thoughts of the drones, the ones that go off the roof, which you can go and be quick observer, first responder kind of thing, gather the intel. And then there's the ones that we have now. So we can go and deploy on a hot call, either in a building or just go up on the scene right there and help search yards at a lower elevation. Great tool. So I'm a big fan of them. So I'll continue to kind of push for that for us with the PD.
A 2-mile radius from City Hall will pretty much cover all of the city.
Yeah,
Most of it.
they will. Yeah. And the cool thing about it is you can sit right here. I mean, literally, I can sit right here and fly it.
So you don't necessarily have to go up to the roof. When you can do it right from your office or wherever you're
Yep, yeah, like Gresham, yeah, they just sit in this room and they just pick the drone and it goes.
Can they leave it? I mean, is it stored on top of the building?
Yeah, it's in this gen pack is what makes it, what makes the box and yeah, it just lands there and it charges and then when it's needs to go, it's kind of like, remember Mork and Mindy, the little shell that just opened? Now I'm really dating myself. It opens up.
Funny though, that we all knew what you were talking about.
Opens up and away it goes. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So. And it knows where to go and it's pretty much foolproof. You know, it knows when your drone operator knows when the battery's low and how long it's gonna take to get back.
Big still breaking.
And down it goes. I don't know how we got on that.
All right.
Sorry.
Well, that's Counselor News.
I know we have the
Well, I mean,
traffic
traffic safety
safety,
queen.
we're a little out of, going back and forth.
It wasn't a meeting. That's right.
Got canceled. The next night after we had our meeting last month, it was like, April meeting's canceled. It was like the very next.
Yeah, it was spring break week and I don't think there was gonna be attendance numbers. I know I wasn't gonna be there. And I emailed out and then, yeah, like a couple days later, the announcement came. So I think it was just no quorum.
Last month's updates then.
Counselor News.
Yeah, so I already said State of the City, so YouTube channel, if anybody wants to see it, it's very, very well done. The legislative session is quite interesting as usual. They had like 5,000 bills introduced. I don't even know why the state doesn't put a cap on how many everybody can introduce. I think one legislature had like on their own 200 or 300. I mean, it's crazy. And a lot of the ones that we're tracking and getting involved in have to do with housing. And it's basically continuing to erode local control. And it's frustrating because the last two sessions, they've put in things that they're not even allowing time to work. And we understand there's a housing shortage, but some of these I just brought up. It requires changes to zoning and land use regulations for housing, requires cities to adopt state model codes for certain housing types. It eliminates design standards, parking requirements, and landscape requirements for developments over 20 units, puts time limits on engineering review, allows cost recovery for delayed engineering permits. So some of these are like, if we don't hit their timelines, like one of these requires middle and single family housing building permit applications to be issued within 45 days. And if we don't get them issued within 45 days, it's an automatic approval. And so.
With no public review process or.
Yeah, some of these that's also the other thing, is some of them are taking it to a type. I'm not, the hearings, there's a type 2 and a type 3 hearing, which means it wouldn't have to go to planning commission. So some of them want to just go through that, which then limits the public input on things like that even more. So we meet every Friday with our lobbyist, and go over the bills and meet with our representative Courtney, and just, please don't support the League of Oregon Cities because coming out against them. It's like, let some of the work that's taken place last few years try to get in place. So there's that. Oh, the other one that we're tracking is the unemployment for people on strikes. That has a direct impact to cities and school districts, because cities and school districts have to reimburse unemployment 100%. So if 100 people are on strike and are collecting unemployment for 8 weeks or whatever, we basically write a check to the state to pay them that. And that's an impact on city budgets, school district budgets, and whatnot.
And
So
there's a federal nexus that I heard today that may cost the state a ton of money that they're gonna have to pay.
would they allow us?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Well,
I'll
that's
send that,
taken
I'll
into
send that,
consideration. Yeah,
because
then that.
it came up in the entire chamber of government affairs today and I shot it down to OBI and they said,
If you can send that to me before my meeting tomorrow with our lobbyists, that'd be great. Last night or Tuesday night at our city council meeting, we did our first reading on the traffic safety committee being taken out from under police advisory board and turned into its own board reporting to city council to give them a little bit more empowerment to do, and city council being a little bit more involved or getting, more information directly from the traffic safety committee. It still has allows 2 members from the police advisory board. It did say to require, or it says shall have 2 board, and I had them adjust that to may, because sometimes we don't always have 2 people who want to volunteer. I mean, we hope you do, but that's a lot. That's 2 meetings a month for people, and so we adapted that. We also did our first reading on creating a youth advisory board, which is gonna be, I think it's gonna be a really, really good thing. Getting youth to learn about local government and getting them,
What's the vision for that? Cause we tried to have a youth representative on this board and it just did not work out.
yeah,
How many did we have? 2 or 3?
2,
I think.
and it was in their junior or senior year, so they're moving on fast and that was.
Got all these activities.
Yeah,
all we can do is try, right? Other cities have good ones around. Hillsborough has a good one, Happy Valley, Lake Oswego.
Tigard even has a council member that's a student.
Yeah, so the vision is that they will, first of all, learn about local government, because in high school, they learn a lot about federal government, state government, but not about local government. What are your opportunities in local government? To, engineering and learning about other jobs that can, and then also then just having them weigh in on city issues that affect youth and bringing their opinions. And it was really interesting. We took 5 high school students with us to DC when I went in March, and they had their own little conference. They talked a lot about housing, and then we'd have dinner with them, and these kids are smart kids and their input, and they're just, I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. Any kids from any high school age student within the Sherwood School District boundary, whether you go to the high school, whether you're homeschooled, whether you're private school, whatever the case may be, you're eligible to apply. And my vision would be that we would have a mix of both if we had applicants. I think you get different perspectives where they're at. So we will see as it goes. And volunteer appreciation, I think something went out maybe as a hold the day thing for May 13th.
Yeah.
And then my last one is as a police foundation member, Boots and Bling is coming up in 2 weeks from tomorrow. We still have tickets left. We'd love to sell those tickets out. If you haven't bought yours and you want to come, it's just a great night.
Yeah.
They're raising money to support our police department.
I have a question about your housing bill. So you read through that really quickly and I'm a slow process.
Okay.
Does that have any effect on whether HOAs can exist?
I don't know if I know the answer to that. I think any new HOAs have to apply to this, these would come first to build the houses and then the HOA be created. It wouldn't affect current HOAs, but yeah.
Here.
Believe me, when Sherwood West, all of this could really have an impact on Sherwood West and whether we continue to move forward with Sherwood West. Because we have a concept plan, and then our plan was to master plan, and this could unravel all of our plans.
Yeah.
It could unravel our cottage cluster zoning that we specifically had for smaller units, for people to downsize, age in place, it could unravel that. It could make that, I don't remember exactly what the legislature said, but basically it would more, instead of cottage clusters, be like row houses type thing. I mean, it's just the vision that we had for over there so we'll see. Courtney, our representative Courtney has been really accepting of our concerns, and so we'll see where she lands on it. It doesn't probably matter if one representative votes no, they have enough votes to still pass it, but. There's some, kind of unfortunate news, but for the taxing stuff that's trying to go through, I think taxes have to have a 2/3 vote down there. There's, unfortunately, our senator, state senator for our district has been pulled off committees and because he's very ill. So he won't be participating in this session. So they're down a vote. So, taxing stuff could be interesting, whether that gets passed or not. For unfortunate circumstances, you know. That's all I have. Unless anybody has any other.
Any questions, Counselor? Thank you so much, Counselor. Appreciate your news and input. We will go on to staff reports. Touched on it a little bit earlier.
Yeah, we did. Sorry, I jumped in there earlier, but I really don't have anything, but just some upcoming events. Yeah. Yes, pins ready? Yeah, right. So actually tonight, as we talked about, and you were introduced to one of our reserves, we had 2 graduating tonight that put in all those hours. They're graduated from the Beaverton Reserve Academy. So we've actually, we love our partnership with Washington County and Beaverton because they put these reserve academies on, and so we're able to jump in when we have reserves. Our last ones went through Washington County. These 2 are going through Beaverton. So I say that because they'll be on the road here soon. You'll see them out riding.
What's the names?
What's that?
What are their names?
Grant.
Hampton?
Hampton?
Hampton, yeah.
Grant Hampton. And my ventriloquist will tell you the other name.
Jacob Stigall.
Ventriloquist.
And the swearing in is the week of the 28th.
Which one? Oh, the 30th.
30th,
Yeah, April 30th for the reserve swearing in. Not that it impacts you, but just so you know, our new sergeants are gonna be at the Sergeant Academy, May 5th through the 16th. A couple of our events coming up is Bowling with a Cop, which is Monday, the 23rd.
I missed that one.
4 to 8. So Langers, so come hang out with us anytime there. Then the 26th is our drug take back and shred food drive. So we're combining them. They used to be separated, but we're doing it together. And the drug take back is going to be from 10 to 2 and the shred event is from 9 to noon. So if you're confused, just show up at 10 and you'll get them both. And then May 4th is our coffee with the force, which
We're gonna do that.
where?
Yeah.
Dutch Bros. We'll be at Dutch Bros.
Oh, but there's all that construction going on.
You're making him.
It's off to the side.
Well, I'm trying to see what we've used. Yeah, but all that might be, yeah.
Behind the fence.
Use the area by the bank there.
Yeah.
The parking lot area was really still open.
Yeah, we might have to just move out into the parking lot. rather than
Way out to the.
Good question. So that's 10 to 1 on the 4th.
Oh, yeah.
And then National Police Week is May 11th through the 17th, so. In the past, we always decorate all the trees out here with our blue ribbons. And we'll have our sign out front, but. And, oh, yeah. Counselor Young talked about that and that. She took some off my plate. So.
Should coordinate better, huh?
This is great. I was sitting there checking them off as you're talking about.
Do you want me to talk about this first? I just want to make sure everybody got the email about the public meetings law training. It's no longer required for everybody. You can still go, but it's not required. They changed it, so.
That's right.
I also disappointed.
I don't have to go.
Do you know if the I know Sherwood's is also being live streamed or is available online. Is that something that's gonna be like recorded and we can just watch later on our own time? No, we have to be live during that time.
Actually think that the live part of that one might not be happening.
Yeah, because now it's the League of Oregon Cities is gonna be presenting. It's just all different now, so.
'Cause I had signed up for the virtual and from home as well. I think I
For catching up. So we're still going in for the very first one. I'm like the program night.
Right, cause the time doesn't work for me for work, so I looked at some other jurisdictions, and there's a lot of cities doing it at different times, but no one else was offering online except for.
That's why I jumped on that one too.
Yeah,
One last thing, it's really doesn't have anything to do with the police advisory board, but something that we're doing in the city, and you probably all have had some experience with it, but we're doing some DISC training where you take a test and kind of determine who you are, your personality, your traits, your D and I and S or C, red, green, yellow. I mean, I think people have done the animal ones too, or whatever it is. What I found really interesting and really valuable, so myself and the captains and all the sergeants have done it. And so it's been enlightening to better understand who they are, how to better communicate with them. There's a lot of good things that come from it and makes a lot of sense when you start thinking about their personalities and how they respond or so. I think it's a really good thing that our HR directors brought to the city. It's actually citywide for all of the supervisors, but for us here at the PD, that's who's all doing it. So I actually I'm gonna embarrass her, but I asked Angie to do it. Not the whole test, but this watered down version. And then in her comeback, she asked me to do it on her. And it was interesting, because we worked together for a long time. And so I was pretty spot on in who I thought she was versus what she checked off. But it's a really great tool. And I think it speaks for kind of the leadership in the city and us collectively and collaboratively working together. Because not only do I get to see how our personalities blend, but also public works, city managers, community development, because we're all in the, spoke in the wheel, so to speak. And so and we got 2 more weeks of it, so it'll be interesting, but good stuff. And Angie, I can't remember what you were red or anything.
Yeah, first column.
Red.
Oh.
Me.
No.
We know better.
Yeah. No bending, all black and white, that's it.
Great structure.
Move to adjourn.
Well, motion is presented to adjourn, moved. Motion on the floor. Second.
So we're gonna have a discussion about it? On this.
Oh, all right. Motion is seconded. We are hereby adjourned. Thank you all again for your time. You put your energy. Just a shout out. Thanks, Mark.
You could give us some warning. We could have brought.
I know.
Something.
It's just